In 1865, President Abraham Lincoln signed an act of Congress establishing what is today the Department of Veterans Affairs, the VA. The Dayton VA was one of 3 of the first soldiers' homes, as they were called. Today, we're taking you on a tour of the historic campus. We start with the historic Grotto Gardens. In the late 1800s and early 1900s, this area of the Dayton VA campus was adorned by plants and flowers grown by the veterans. The grotto area and lakes were formed from quarrying limestone from the site. It was a major attraction, but fell into disrepair. In 2012, the Dayton VA and the American Veterans Heritage Center, or AVHC, along with many volunteers, reclaimed the historic gardens and have brought it back to its beautiful beginnings. It's open to the public and is enjoyed year-round. Building 115, the Administration Building. It's the building you see on the top of the hill as you enter the main gate of the Dayton VA. Constructed in 1937 for executive, finance, personnel, and special services departments, currently nursing and employee education as well as mental health have offices housed there. The private fair statue and portico. The marble statue of Union Civil War veteran Private George Washington Fair was relocated to the Dayton VA from downtown Dayton. Private Fair was a native Daytonian and chosen to represent the ideal of the heroic sentinel. The columned portico in which he stands was the original entrance to Brown Hospital, the predecessor to the current hospital building. Building 412, General Franklin Building. The domiciliary, built in 1902, was named after General William B. Franklin. It was labeled Old Men's Home. We infer that elderly veterans once lived there. Currently, Miami Valley Housing Opportunity leases the building for affordable housing for veterans and those in need. Building 408, Colonel Harris Building. On the west side of the traffic circle is a former barracks built in 1903 and named in honor of Colonel Leonard A. Harris, who served gallantly during the Civil War. Today, it houses offices for several VA services. National Historic Landmark Plaque. In the center of the traffic circle stands a plaque dedicated in 2012, commemorating the establishment of the Dayton VA Medical Center as a National Historic Landmark. The efforts of the VA and AVHC led to this honor by the National Park Service. It was given to the Dayton VA for its unique role and history of caring for Americans' veterans. On the north side of the traffic circle is the Fisher House. Supported by the Dayton VA and the Fisher House Foundation, the house opened in 2018. It provides free lodging to families of the eligible veterans while they are undergoing treatment at the medical center. Building 225, Liberty House. Built in 1875, Liberty House was originally built as an amusement hall with billiard tables, bagatelle tables, and a bowling alley. When the clubhouse was built in 1881, the building was converted into officers' living quarters. Building 226, Freedom House. Built in 1872 as quarters for the chief officers, it is a double residence and was first used by the secretary and steward of the home. It has 5,400 square feet and 4 floors. It's in the historic district on campus. Building 118, Home Chapel. This church became known as the Protestant Chapel and was dedicated in October 1870. It is the oldest building on the medical center grounds and is the oldest church in the VA system. The primary builders of the chapel were the veterans who lived and worshiped here. In the early 2000s, the church was closed due to unstable floors. Thanks to a grant from AVHC, the chapel was refurbished and once again holds church services for veterans and the community. Building 119, Catholic Chapel of the Good Shepherd. Fundraising efforts led to the construction and dedication of the Catholic Chapel in 1898. In addition to on-campus veterans, it also served the Catholic community of West Dayton. It closed in the early 2000s. Doctors Row. Doctors Row consists of buildings 209 through buildings 214. They are duplexes built between 1921 and 1923. They served as the home for the doctors on the Dayton VA campus. Each house has 4 floors. They are in the historic district of the campus. Building 129. Built in 1881, this was originally the Veterans Clubhouse and had a billiard room along with rooms for visiting, reading, playing cards, and chess. This building will house archives and artifacts as part of the National VA History Center. Building 116, formerly the headquarters building and library. This is the second oldest building on the VA grounds. Built in 1871, the great feature of this building was the library and reading room on the 2nd and 3rd floors. Many of the books donated by Mary Lowell Putnam were in memory of her son, killed in October of 1861. The library later moved across the street. This building will house the future National VA History Center. Building 120, Putnam Library. Built in 1880, it originally served as the quartermaster building. The early emphasis on books and the availability to all veteran members made the home library a pioneer in library service. In 2015, the building was featured in the television series, Who Do You Think You Are?, profiling actor Bryan Cranston. Next to the Putnam Library will be Lincoln Park, where a seated bronze statue of President Lincoln will be. The statue portrays Lincoln, reflecting on the importance of the legislation he had just signed, the act that established what is today's VA. Next to the park is a new Ohio historical marker unveiled in November of 2021. The marker details the history of the Dayton VA and how it was one of the 3 original VA hospitals. Today, the Dayton VA Medical Center is a modern healthcare facility and continues to honor President Lincoln's promise to care for him who shall have borne the battle.